Pokemon Discord version. Arc 7. Beneath the Shade. Siren City Chronicles. Kazero POV. Part 1. Meanwhile. Finally, I'm here! I made it to Siren City! Haha, yippee! Good thing too, because I'm almost out of food and supplies. That dark cave went on longer than I expected. Phew! I'm just glad to have made it out alive! Kaz was relieved to have finally made it to Siren City. Being an official member of Team Rocket will grant him free access to the city. Regular citizens who aren't merchants or traders are turned away or killed at the gates if they attempt to enter. Merchants and traders must pay a toll to gain entry. Siren City is heavily guarded, not only because of the revenue and resources the city produces for Team Rocket, but also because the city recently had an incident. This incident had to do with a man by the name of Colonel Silas Pence, a war criminal and colonel for Team Rocket. He served under Team Rocket for many successful years and became one of the most revered and respected Pokemon warriors in Team Rocket history. Pence is a user of Steel-type Pokemon primarily. He is also an expert with any blade or bow. His combat style is almost inescapable with his quickness in switching from blade to bow. It is said that Pence has never let any of his prey escape. He was the one who led the raiding and pillaging of Siren City when Team Rocket first ever dominated it. Recently, Pence formed a secret organization of Team Rocket members called the Shade Operatives. This group was put together by Colonel Pence for one reason only, and that was to silently defect from Team Rocket. Leaving Team Rocket, once you already are a member, has never been an option. The only way to leave is through death, and death alone. Pence's group was almost successful. However, the Shade Operatives and their leader never expected one of their own to sell them out. One of the operatives was offered a deal once Warden Leander caught wind of the defection. Sadly, the operative took the deal and sold out his brothers in arms to Team Rocket. In even more unfortunate events, that said Shade Operative was given death as his reward instead of eternal imprisonment and torture. The Shade Operatives and Colonel Pence were stopped in their tracks and captured, but not without a fight, of course. Pence went head-to-head with Leander and was able to slice his eye, removing it completely. Though he was unable to defeat him because Warden Leander was one of the most horrifyingly powerful elite members of Team Rocket who was famously feared for his unrelenting forms of combat. From that moment, Pence and the Shade Operatives were defeated and captured, only to be imprisoned in the very city they had at one point dominated. Now the Warden sports an eye patch and wears eternal resentment for Pence. No doubt Leander is keeping a personal eye on Colonel Pence, and has made his life worse than hell itself. Alright, time to get to HQ and report the situation to my superiors. Oh man, I'm so excited! They are gonna lose their minds over this super duper discovery! Maybe I'll even get to personally meet Warden Leander himself! Oh man, I can't wait! Kaz made his way from the mouth of the dark cave all the way down the main path until he reached the massive gates of Siren City. The city's gates were enormous and were parallel to the giant steel wall that surrounded the city completely. This place was a lockdown, a giant steel fortress that had round-the-clock maximum security. To Team Rocket, this city was one of the most imperative assets in order to assume control, and control was something that they would hold on to with the tightest of grip. Bang! 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 Hello, Siren City! Kazero here! Is anyone there? Kaz knocked on the giant metal doors and hoped for someone to answer. Static through speaker. Get out of here, Kaz! You have no business in this city, you dirty fool! Aren't you supposed to be guarding the barrier around Sector 66? Get back to your post, goddammit! A voice from the speaker that was embedded on the metal walls quickly responds to Kaz. Varen? Varen, is that you? I know how your voice sounds. Let me in! I have to report something huge, man! Come on, open the gates! Kaz says, desperately trying to get into Siren City. What do you mean you have something to report? Kaz, you piece of shit, this better be good. Tell me what it is before I let you in. They'll throw my ass in the prison tower with the Shade Operatives if I let you in for no good reason. Varen says through the speaker. I mean it, man! I'm super serious right now! My whole team was viciously killed by a little kid! I was the only one who survived. I need to report this to HQ here in Siren City. Kaz says. Kaz, you idiot! You think I'm gonna fall for that? I know you're probably just tired of guarding the haunted woods because you're such a coward. So you figured you'd try to pull one over on old Varin, huh? Try to get into Siren City and taste the luxury for a change. Ha! You're not getting in here, Kaz. I won't fall for your stupid tricks, you dickhead. Get lost! Varin says angrily. Damn it, Varin, let me in, you asshole! Said Kaz as he got no response from Varin. Kaz then realized how ridiculous his story sounded and began to rethink his plan. Dickhead! Kaz yelled at the speaker as he kicked the wall hard and hurt his foot. Yeah! Damn you, Varin! He yelled out in pain as he sits beside the wall and thinks of how he can get into Siren City other than the front gates. Now what am I supposed to do? He asks himself as an idea pops into his head abruptly. I got it! Go, Ekans! He summons Ekans, and they make their way about 30 feet around the side of the Siren City gates. Now, Ekans, we're gonna dig a hole deep enough to get us into the city. Foolproof! Airtight! Let's do this! Kaz and Ekans begin digging a hole. About 15 minutes go by, and they haven't made too much progress yet. This is gonna take forever! Can't you dig any faster? Come on, Ekans! Kaz says as he is out of breath. Rattata, come out and help us! He summons Rattata to help dig, which proves to be beneficial. Alright, keep going, guys! We're almost there! Kaz and his Pokemon finally make some progress into the ground and discover a secret tunnel of some kind, about 20 feet under the city walls. Huh? What is this? Kaz says as he makes his way into the dark tunnel that seems to have been dug deliberately by a group of people or Pokemon. This looks like a secret escape tunnel put here by someone. But who? And what for? He says as he walks with his Pokemon deeper into the tunnels. As he walks, he notices the miles and miles of stretching tunnels before him. Oh man, this is a whole lot bigger than I thought. This must go on for miles. What the hell put these here? Kaz returns his Pokemon to their Pokeballs and lights the torch from his survival gear to illuminate his path, for he was now deep enough in the tunnels where it had become pitch black. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Huh? Oh man, what is that? Kaz yells, frightened as the tunnels and the earth shakes beneath him viciously. Suddenly, a horde of Pokemon that traveled underground violently dug through the tunnel towards Kaz. Ah! It's a freaking mob of Diglets and Dugtrios! Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Kaz yells out as he begins to run away from the horde of underground Pokemon that rush towards him. They begin to get rapidly closer to him, and as they catch up to Kaz with ease, he falls on top of them backwards as they begin to carry him towards the exit of the tunnel entrance to Siren City. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! Kaz screamed as they carried him farther and farther through the tunnels. What? What? Oh, nice! Yeah! Keep going, buddies! Thank you so much! Thank you! Kaz says as he begins to see the exit. For some odd reason, these strange tunnel Pokemon were helping Kaz find his way through the tunnel, though it was unknown as to why. Yeah! Kaz yells as they shove him off of them forcefully and throw him out of the tunnel. Oh! Kaz says as he lands on his head. He looks up and opens his eyes as the sun blinds his vision. As his blurry vision becomes clear, he can see all of the structures and industrialism that made up the great Siren City. I made it! Yes! I'm finally inside of Siren City! Fuck you, Varin! He said with two middle fingers in the air as he picks himself up and dusts off his attire. Right! Now it's time to report my findings to HQ! But where is the HQ in this giant city? Maybe I can ask somebody. I don't even know. I guess I'll look around for a bit and hopefully I'll find my way without getting lost. Kaz then sets out on his journey into the vast city and makes his way past many high-class, expensive-looking inns and traders' markets, ones that he knew he would never be able to afford. He also passed by many rough-looking Team Rocket guards and mercenaries that eyed him down offensively. Gosh! I need to find an affordable inn! Why is everywhere so expensive in this city? He said as he walked the crowded, smoky city streets. Kaz knew he needed to find the Team Rocket HQ, but quickly prioritized restocking his gear and supplies. Eventually, after walking for miles, he finally found a little hole-in-the-wall type tavern that was also a cheap inn. This place looked very old and rickety, so he knew it would be a quick, cheap option for him to rest and resupply. Wow, this place looks super sketchy. I sure hope I don't catch anything if I stay here for a night. Well, beggars can't be choosers, Kaz said as he made his way into the Dirty Tavern. The steel bell on the tip of the rickety door jingled as Kaz walked into the tavern. Hello? Is anyone here? He says as he looks around the empty, dimly lit tavern. He walks up to the bar counter and leans against it with his elbows on the bar, waiting for someone to come serve him. Hello! Kaz says louder as he begins to get impatient. He looks around and sees many different decanters and bottles behind the bar, as well as rows and rows of dirty-looking metal cups that look like they haven't been cleaned in ages, judging from the dust and cobwebs that covered everything in the entire place. Wow, this place is a dump, Kaz said out loud, expecting to be alone. Now that isn't very nice, said an abrupt voice from a dark corner of the tavern. Whoa! Kaz jumps and yells out as he is frightened by the voice. I built this place from the ground up with my own 2 hands, you little prick, said the voice as it began to get closer to Kaz. A small old man walks out from the shadows of the tavern and scolds Kaz for being rude. What? Old man? What are you doing hiding in the shadows like that? I could have seriously hurt you by accident or something. You shouldn't sneak up on a Team Rocket member like that, old-timer, Kaz says to the grumpy old man. What makes you think you could hurt me? You don't even know who I am. For all you know, I could be the king of Team Rocket himself. The old man jokes with Kaz, though Kaz only looks at the old man with confusion. All right. Enough joking around. What is it that you seek, young man? A drink, a room, or a meal? Says the old man to Kaz. Yes, all of that, please. Also, if possible, I'd like to restock on some supplies if you have the wares. Kaz replies as the old man grabs a tankard and begins to wipe it down with a dirty old rag. Kaz sits down on one of the bar stools and stares at the dirty tankard in the old man's hand with disgust. Of course! Now we haven't had a customer here in a while, so I hope you don't mind dusting off some old gear, says the old man as he pours Kaz an ale and slides it to him across the bar. As long as it works, I don't mind at all, old man, Kaz says as he reluctantly takes a sip of his ale. I have a name, you know. It's Zeke, and you would know that had you asked. For a young man, you sure are rude. Didn't your parents teach you manners? Zeke said to Kaz with a scolding tone again. Oh, sorry, old man. I mean Zeke. Sorry about that, old man Zeke, Kaz says to Zeke as Zeke puts his face into his palm and shakes his head. So, are you ever going to tell me your name? Or should I just refer to you as the rude young man? Says Zeke to Kaz. Oh, sure. My name is Kaz Yamura, Kaz says to Zeke with excitement. Ah, Kaz Yamura. Nice to meet you, Kaz. What brings you to Siren City? Here recently they stopped letting all but necessary personnel into the city altogether. You must have official business here as a newcomer. Is that right? Zeke says to Kaz. Yes, I'm here on the most official of business. You see, I'm a super important Team Rocket guard. I was with my team of elites guarding Sector 66 when all of a sudden a child came out of nowhere and annihilated my whole squad. I was the only survivor, of course, being the strongest of my team. But everyone else was killed by this child horrifically. So now I'm here to restock on my supplies and report this child to Siren City Team Rocket HQ, Kaz says to Zeke. Old man Zeke now looks at Kaz with extreme disbelief. However, he remains polite about it and says, Well, Kaz, that seems like quite the predicament. Now tell me, What did this murderous child look like? Maybe I've seen him around. And if not, I could certainly keep an eye out for him. Zeke says to Kaz, playing along with his obviously made-up story. Right. Well, I didn't get too good of a look at him, but from what I saw, he was wearing a backwards cap on his head, and he had on a backpack. Kaz says to Zeke. Not much to go off of, Kaz. You aren't the most observant one, are you? But nonetheless, I'll keep an eye out for this powerful demon child as promised. Zeke says, joking around with Kaz again, though Kaz took it 100% seriously. Old Man Zeke puts a bowl of cooked rice in front of Kaz. Thanks, Old Man Zeke! I really appreciate that! Kaz says as Zeke begins to get supplies and gear together for Kaz to take on his journey. Kaz and Zeke share many conversations and enjoy each other's company for about an hour before Kaz decides it's time for him to turn in for the night. Glug, glug, glug. Ah! Thanks for the ale, Old Man Zeke! That hit the spot! How much do I owe you? Kaz says as he reaches for his wallet. For a new friend like you, Mr. Yamura, it's all on the house. Zeke says to Kaz as Kaz's eyes light up with excitement. Really? Oh man! Thank you so much, Old Man Zeke! You are the best! Oh man, lucky day! Kaz says with extreme excitement. Alright, Mr. Yamura. Shall I show you to your room then? Says Zeke to Kaz. Alright. Kaz says as he begins to follow Old Man Zeke down a dark corridor of the tavern. Right this way, please. Zeke says to Kaz as they walk up to a metal door that was locked. This is where you'll be staying tonight, Mr. Yamura. Enjoy your room, and if there's anything you might need throughout the night, please don't hesitate to let me know. Zeke says as he pulls out a key from his pocket and hands it to Kaz. Thanks! Kaz takes the key and unlocks his room. As he opens the door to his room, he begins to feel uneasy. His vision begins to blur, and his equilibrium completely fails him. What's going on? I'm not feeling so well. Kaz says as he stumbles into his room, where there was only a small twin-size bed and a trunk for possessions. I think I need to lie down for a while, Kaz says as he is woozy as ever. His vision is so blurry now he can barely see his hand in front of his face. He crash lands on his bed that's as hard as rocks, and looks back at the open door and sees a figure watching him from the doorway. Who's there? Kaz says weakly as his door begins closing. As the door slams shut, he hears the lock turn and seals the door, locking it up tightly. Kaz now knows that something terrible might happen to him, and he may have just fallen victim to Old Man Zeke's trickery. No! Kaz tries to scream, but realizes he has been drugged and will pass out shortly. It looks like this tavern wasn't a tavern at all, and Kaz just found himself on the receiving end of a sinister trap. Wakey, wakey, Zeke says to Kaz. As Kaz awakens, he realizes that he has been hog-tied with chains and suspended from the ceiling of his room. What? What happened? Huh? Old Man Zeke, what are you doing? No, please! Why are you doing this? Kaz yells in fear. Oh, shut your disrespectful mouth, you scoundrel! You Team Rocket fools are all the same. You come into our once great city, and you turn it into your own personal death camp. You run down our humble businesses and bulldoze your way to the top of the hierarchy. For years I've preyed on young grunts like you, who stumble in here drunk off your asses, thinking you could treat people however you see fit. I only wish I could capture every one of you like this, you Team Rocket scum, said Zeke to Kaz. Kaz was not only bound and hanging from the ceiling, but he also had nothing on but his underwear, and all of his gear was in the corner of the room, including his two Pokemon's Pokeballs. Old Man Zeke, please, don't do this! I'm not like the rest of them! Please, I'm different! Just spare me, Old Man Zeke, please! I won't tell anyone about this! Just please let me go! Kaz screams in fear for his life as he hangs from the ceiling with his hands and legs bound to each other. If only I had a coin for every time a Team Rocket member has said that to me, I would be rich. Then I could leave this godforsaken city and abandon this rundown business. Just keep quiet, Mr. Yamura. It'll be easier for both of us if you do. Zeke says as he ties a dirty rag around Kaz's mouth, tight enough to silence him. Muffled yelling from Kaz. You should have thought about this when you joined Team Rocket, you ninny! Zeke says as he puts a cloth sack over Kaz's face and whacks him with a wooden staff hard in the gut. Whack! Whack! Over and over again, Zeke whacks Kaz in the gut while ridiculing him. About an hour passes as an old man Zeke had continued ferociously beating and torturing Kaz until he exhausted himself. He removes Kaz's face covering so he can look him in the face while he speaks to Kaz. Okay, Sonny. Looks like that's enough for tonight. You get some rest now, sweetheart. I'll be back in the morning with breakfast bright and early, says old man Zeke out of breath. He leaves the room and locks it from the outside. Somehow Kaz survived the torture, or maybe he was deliberately kept just barely alive by Zeke. As Kaz hung from the ceiling, still hogtied with chains and barely alive, he cried and continuously leaked blood onto the floor of his cell. Kaz's thoughts. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god! What the hell is this old geezer's problem? I need to find a way out of here, but how? Oh man, I really hope someone comes along and saves me from this crazy old bastard! Otherwise this might be the end for me. No! Wait a second. I can feel my leg bindings coming undone. Oh man, this is my chance! If I can shake my legs loose, then I can wriggle myself out of these chains! Stupid old bitch in your old chains! I'll show you what happens when you mess with Kaz Yamura! Using nothing but pure adrenaline, Kaz then begins to shake and rock back and forth desperately, trying to loosen the chains from his legs. Clink! Kaz's thoughts. There we go! That did it! My legs are loose! Now for my hands. This'll be a whole lot harder since I'm being suspended by my arms alone. Now, here we go! Kaz is now able to kick off of the wall and gain even more momentum than before while rocking himself back and forth. The old chains eventually break, freeing Kaz from his binds. However, Kaz lands hard on the rough floor and his gag comes untied and falls from his face. Oh! Okay, now how am I going to get out of this room? No windows. Walls seem to be made of steel like every other building in this godforsaken city. The floor! I can dig underground if I'm able to break through these floor panels. Stupid old geezer left my gear in here with me too. Senile old bitch! Kaz then quickly gets to his gear and gets dressed while grabbing his Pokemon and weapons. Rattata! Ekans! Let's tear this shit up! Kaz says as he quickly stops himself from summoning his Pokemon because he hears the door locks moving as if someone were coming in. As the door opens, Kaz feels an immense cold drift into the room and fills his soul with ice. Kaz shivers. Who's there? The door opens slowly and heavy darkness floods the already dark cell he was in. Kaz feels uneasy now, like there is a ghostly presence before him. Kaz takes 2 steps back and grips his shock baton, waiting to strike at whatever may walk through the pitch-black doorway. Stay back! I'm armed! Don't come any closer! Kaz says, trying to intimidate whatever was standing in the dark doorway. Put that little toy away. You'll hurt yourself more than you'll hurt me. An eerie voice comes from the shadows as a burning figure appears. One that emits no light even though black fire dances around his back and shoulders. What are you? Kaz asks the figure. You can call me Anzu. It seems Anzu had made his way into Siren City looking for intel and stumbled across Kaz's situation. As Kaz shakes visibly in Anzu's presence, he says, Anzu, I've never heard of you. Are you Team Rocket? What do you want from me? Don't come any closer or I'll... Kaz is cut off by Anzu as Anzu steps towards Kaz creepily. You'll do what? Attack me with your little grunt weapon? Or maybe you'll sick your Pokemon on me. You know, the terrifying Rattata or the unbeatable Ekans. You're a pathetic, worthless lowlife piece of human garbage who no one would miss for a second if I decided to end your miserable life right here. Anzu says to Kaz as his eyes glow a bright red that pierces through the darkness at Kaz. Stay back! I'm not kidding! Oh! Kaz tries to yell again, but then grabs his severely damaged ribcage and falls to his knees as he spits out blood.
Face it, you're in no condition to fight anyone. Your injuries are still fresh and severe. You couldn't face me even if you wanted to. Not that you would stand a chance in the first place,
Anzu says as he watches Kaz clutch his ribs on the floor. Kaz looks up at Anzu as his vision begins to blur again and he feels himself losing consciousnness.
No!
Kaz says weakly as his face hits the floor and he passes out from the pain. Everything goes black and Kaz falls into a deep comatose type slumber. Kaz's flashback dream.
Kazero, run! Run, Kazero! Run away from here and go as far as you can. Please, my son, leave here and don't ever come back. I love you so much, my son. Don't ever let them hurt you. Run away, Kaz, and stay alive. It's too late for me. You've always made me so proud of you, Kazero.
As his mother dies in his arms from her wounds, 6-year-old Kazero Yamura flees the village in hopes of surviving the Team Rocket raid that began only hours ago. Everyone in his village was slaughtered in a matter of hours by Team Rocket's Alpha Squad, led by Prince Adonis Nova. Kaz's whole clan died by the hands of Team Rocket that day, so Kaz never looked back. He was on his own now, so his destiny was his own prerogative. He knew that in this life no one would help him get ahead. He needed to do what he needed to do to survive, and survive he did. Years went by where Kaz lived off the land. He was always alone. He wasn't very skilled in battle, so he had no hope of capturing or training a Pokemon. Eventually, once Team Rocket conquered all of Agoria, Kaz found himself in a barren wasteland with no signs of life for miles and miles. He walked and walked until he almost died of dehydration, when finally he was saved by a mysterious hooded figure that was traveling along the same path. This figure traveled with an Alakazam and was able to teleport from place to place with ease. He picked Kaz up from the harsh wastelands and teleported him to a place beside a river. Kaz woke up in this bountiful place with clean water and replenished himself, but realized that the hooded figure that saved his life was no longer there. Kaz realized that he was somewhere near a giant mountain and decided to press on to the nearest civilization, which he could see in the distance. Kaz's eyes had tricked him, for when he made it to the civilization, he found that the only people there were Team Rocket member grunts, who immediately began to mess with Kaz.
Hey kid, what do you think you're doing here in Team Rocket's land? This is our town. Our prince claimed this place for Team Rocket. You coming here and stepping on our land is a sign of disrespect to our prince and savior. That kind of disrespect is unforgivable and punishable by death and death alone. Time to die, kid!
The Team Rocket grunt said as he and his squad made their way over to Kaz.
Ah! Help!
Kaz yells out in fear as he closes his eyes. Rumble, rumble. Alaka! Fire! Suddenly, the rocket grunts are stopped in their tracks by the same Alakazam that was with the hooded man that saved Kaz earlier. The Alakazam seemed to have teleported to Kaz and used the move Hypnosis, effectively putting all of the rocket grunts under a mesmeric spell that rendered them immobilized and put them into the deepest sleep they ever had.
Wow, thank you so much!
Kaz said as he turned to the Alakazam. However, as soon as he turned to thank the wondrous Pokemon, it had quickly disappeared. Kaz then searched the grunts and stole everything on their person that he needed, including weapons and a rocket grunt-issued armor uniform that was only a little too big for him. Though he knew he would grow into it, he saved the armor in his pack for when he would need it. He took everything he could from the grunts, but he left them their Pokemon. Then he continued on his journey of trying to find somewhere to settle down and fit in. His journey would take him far and wide, with death around every corner. Kaz wasn't much in a fight, but his elusive skills were lucrative enough to keep him alive for the time being. Kaz never found a suitable civilization for him to settle down. Team Rocket ensured that every village was heavily guarded and secure. This left Kaz with no choice but to fit into the Rocket Grunt armor uniform and pretend he was a member of Team Rocket ever since. Eventually, an admin pulled him to the side and questioned him as to why he didn't have the standard issue Rattata with him. Kaz was able to convince the admin that he had lost his Rattata, and he was then issued a new one, officially making him an unofficial member of Team Rocket. Ever since then, Kaz has tried his best to fit in with his new faction, but has only succeeded in becoming the laughingstock of Team Rocket. Kaz awakens in the main hall of the tavern, feeling his injuries again, but this time less intensely. "Ow!" Kaz says weakly as he sits up and rubs his eyes. As his vision begins to clear up, he can finally start to make out where he is and what is in front of him. "Oh my god!" To his own horror, Kaz is staring at the torn open corpse of old man Zeke hanging from the ceiling by his own chains. His face hangs torn open as if it was split down the middle with blood and brain matter leaking eerily onto the tavern floor. His body was torn open down the middle as well, with his rib cage pulled open, exposing his organs like the Viking art of execution called the Blood Eagle. Kaz vomits his guts out onto the tavern floor as he witnesses the horrific state of old man Zeke. "What the hell happened? Oh, Anzu! That thing that saved me from the prison cell! He had to have done this! Wow! I mean, it's not that I'm ungrateful for the rescue, but geez, this is a little over the top! Literally and figuratively! Hey! Oh man! All of the supplies and gear in this place! It's still here! Looks like Anzu left me with a little parting gift! What an awesome new friend I made! Oh, I made a friend! I mean, he did insult me and make me feel low within dirt with his words, but he saved my life and freed me from that prison cell! Not only that, but everything in this place is mine now! Yippee! Thank you, Anzu! Thank you so much! All praise Lord Anzu, the hero of Kazyamara! Now then, time to really gear up and head over to HQ to submit my report. Kaz gears up and has now quadrupled his inventory with everything useful he could find from the tavern. He thought about eating, but was afraid he wouldn't be able to hold any food down after seeing the corpse of old man Zeke hanging there. He couldn't get that image out of his mind. It would surely haunt him for the rest of his days. "Okay, time to go," Kaz says as he opens the front door of the tavern. As the door opened, light poured into the almost pitch-black tavern and blinded Kaz for a second. "There he is! Get him!" yelled a voice as Kaz was spotted. "Huh? Varin? Hey, Varin! You're never gonna believe this!" Kaz yelled as he made his way over to the rocket guard Varin and a squad of 4 rocket guards that accompanied him. "Come here, you!" they said to Kaz as they tackled him to the ground and took him into custody. "Ah! What the hell, Varin? Listen, I'm on your side! Why am I under arrest?" said Kaz as the guards held his arms behind his back.
You're not under arrest, you piece of shit. We're throwing you outside of the city walls because you snuck in here after I told you to get lost,
said Varin to Kaz. "You son of a bitch! Just listen to me, Varin! There's something crazy going on here, man! There's an old man in that tavern! He's been capturing Team Rocket grunts and torturing them to death secretly over the years!" Kaz tried to explain as the guards hauled him off to the city gates.
Yeah, there you go again, Kaz, with these ridiculous stories. No one's gonna fall for it here, Kaz. You're a fucking joke! And not even a funny one. Get him out of my sight and throw him outside of the city!
Varin said as they opened the gates and tossed Kaz on his backside outside the gates, right back where he started. "No! Damn it!" Kaz yells at the gates as he kicks them and hurts his foot again. Static over speaker.
Stay out of here, Kaz. If we find you in the city again, you're going straight to the prison tower. You understand, you piece of shit? You're lucky you aren't there already after what you pulled. Now get the fuck out of here and don't come back!
Varin said over the speaker to Kaz. At this point, Kaz had no other choice but to press on to the next town and hope he could find Team Rocket HQ there in order to submit his report. The next town was quite a distance away from Siren City, and a perilous journey to boot. Luckily, Kaz had enough supplies and the gear necessary to make it there as long as he could keep himself alive.